Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. Your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former WWF Intercontinental Champion, three-time WCW Television Champion, Mr. Marvelous One himself, the Wild Man, Mr. Marc Mero. Mark, welcome in. How you doing?
John, how are you?
Doing very good. And your new book, Bad to Good, the inspiring story of a wrestling wild man, is coming out. Tell us all about the book and what's going on in your world.
It is already out. It's doing really well on Amazon, and it took me a year to write this book. I worked with this guy named Ben Veal, who's an award-winning writer. Man, he's just been phenomenal. And we would spend hours on Zoom, with me sharing stories. And he just put it into words that were just beautiful, man. So I was really proud of this book, and it's a pretty thick book too, man. Like 400 pages of stories, my life, autobiography, growing up in Buffalo, New York, moving to Syracuse, and all the way from amateur boxing to football, hockey, and then eventually making my way into professional wrestling. So and I share some stories I have never shared before, and had to dig down deep for some of them. You got to have the bad. We got to have the bad to make the good, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So was that always something you wanted to do? Did you always want to write the book or you were or like kind of hesitant about writing it?
You know what? I wrote a book before this called How to Be the Happiest Person on the Planet, but I've always wanted to write my full autobiography, and I knew someday I would do it. And, you know, as I get older, it's like, now is the time to do this. And I decided to do it, and it took us a year straight. I mean, we were doing it, talking almost every day, and then whittling down the stories because we had so many different stories. So we just decided to put the ones that we thought would really be helpful, inspirational, and effective in a way of, just challenging people in life.
So from bad to good, obviously maybe a little bit of play on Johnny B. Bad, the great gimmick from WCW, right?
You got to tell the Johnny B. Bad story, man. That was some of my favorite times, was playing that character, Johnny B. Bad. And I got to tell you why it was one of my favorites, is because I get to spend so much time with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He created the character, and he loved teaching me how to talk and walk and be that character. So it was times of me and him just spending time together before the matches started, getting there early to the arena. And him and I just spending time together was something I'll never forget, and always cherish those memories.
What a crazy gimmick. If you think about like your history, you know what I mean? Like legitimate boxer and Golden Glove, and it's like he's going to be playing Johnny B. Bad. Was that kind of a stretch for you? Were you just like, wow, this is kind of different?
Yes. When they first told me about that, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But working with Dusty Rhodes, he just brought it out of me. I mean, just the fun, like I'll give you an example. He'd say something like, I want you to walk up to the microphone and say, I'm so pretty. I've been born a little girl. And I said, Dusty, are you kidding me? And he said, let me show you how to do it. Because he was so flamboyant. This was like his thing, And we would get laughing, and of course I'd be cracking up, thinking, "How am I going to do this?" Then eventually, he got me to just walk and talk just the way he wanted it, and it really took off. I mean, it was a really fun character because it was so far of a stretch from who I really am or how I really talk.
They always say, like, or well, not all they always say, but a lot of wrestlers have said that when they're writing these books and they're kind of going back, sometimes it's painful. Like, was the Johnny B. Bad time, like when you're like going back, you think about, like, was that painful, or was it like, no, I needed to do that to kind of get to this position? You know what I mean? Like, was it like a real journey for you and like painful at all? Thinking
Yeah, John,
and
that's a
reliving
great
some of it?
question. And, I look at all the different paths I've taken in life, and all those different paths ended up to where I am today. And I don't think I'd want to change anything. But going back on some of the stories I shared, they were painful to talk about, in the sense that you kind of relive those moments. And, the certain parts of my story about drug addiction and suicidal thoughts, and just so many things that are outside of the character or the person I am. It just makes me understand how people can get to that point in life where I've always been such a strong person, and my character and who I was, and my athleticism and everything that I was good at, and then I seen a side of me that I didn't like. And I think we all go through things in life. We all go through situations in life that really change us. And I look back and I realize how strong I have become because of those things I went through. It's like through our struggles, we find our strength. And that's why when I meet someone today that's depressed or suffering from anxiety or suicidal thoughts, man, I really understand how they feel. And I really feel that I can help them get through this.
Maybe Ben was like your psychiatrist a little bit, right? It's your therapist. As you're giving the stories, he's kind of like dragging it, bringing it out of you, right?
Ben was a great listener. And he did ask the hard questions, which made for the book, because you have to ask those questions, because sometimes you're not just going to, say it until someone says, well, what about this? And you go, oh, yeah, that's what I went through. And that's how I felt. And then you share it. And he just had a gift for putting it into the right words that really, really made the book special.
Just thinking about Johnny B. Bad, like the gimmick itself, right? Like he looks like Little Richard, you know what I mean? Like it's like, does he really? I mean, I don't know. It's like such an interesting gimmick, like especially when you find out that like your background. I don't. To me, I always think like, why was he Johnny B. Bad? Like what like why, Dusty? Why?
John, when they first told me, I remember Dusty Rhodes said to me, "Did anybody ever tell you you look like Little Richard?" And I'm thinking, I thought he was talking about a wrestler. So I said, I don't know who Little Richard is. He goes, you don't know Little Richard? Womp bam baloo bam, womp bam boo. And I thought, oh, the singer? And he goes, yeah. And I said, man, I never heard that before. He goes, oh, I think I got a gimmick for you. Next thing I know, Terry Reynolds, who was Dustin Reynolds' wife at the time, she was the makeup artist for WCW. And I just remember that she put me in this chair, and next thing you know, with the makeup and the eyeliner and everything, and all of a sudden she spins me around the chair. I'm going, oh my gosh, I look like Little Richard. And that's how it took off. But Dusty saw that before, all the makeup, all the flamboyancy, all the clothing, the costumes and everything. It was just incredible.
But like you still incorporated yourself though, because like the mean left hook, like you still kind of incorporated Marc Mero into Johnny.
A little bit of boxing in there, yeah. I had to kick your booty with my tutti frutti.
Yeah, I know. To me, I'm always like that gimmick is interesting. I kind of see Dusty like where he was going, but for me, like you could have been, like this guy can knock you out. You know what I mean? Like he could have been just like like kind of a shoot guy. Maybe a little bit like a former boxing champion type guy.
Well, that came later on in the WWE.
Yeah,
exactly. Marvelous Marc Mero. We kind of did that, yep. But it's like I said, all the different paths led to where I am today. So I don't want to change anything.
When you grew up in WCW, like as you're starting to progress and starting to mature, I noticed that you and DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, it's like very parallel paths. Like I know obviously not age-wise because he was a little bit older when he started, but it was almost like you guys were learning the business and learning how to work together, and you feuded for so long. The matches kept getting better and the feud kept getting. Did you feel that too? Like you're maturing with somebody in the business and you're both learning together?
Absolutely. He's one of my closest friends, and he actually wrote the foreword to my book. Him and Lex Luger both wrote the forewords to my book. I got two people that wrote it. And he's just been an incredible friend. We live 20 minutes apart now, so we get to see each other more now. And but he's just an incredible inspiration for me, and I am for him. And we would go down to the power plant and work on our wrestling. We get better and better. And next thing you know, we could tear the house down, man. If we love starting the pay-per-view, so we just knew we were going to knock it out of the park. We always said we were going to have the best match on the card, and we often did.
Was he the guy you wrestled the most? It felt like it, especially at that
point. What? I would say there was two guys that probably wrestled more than Dallas. I mean, don't get me wrong. We wrestled hundreds of times, okay? Probably close to 200 probably. And the only two guys that probably wrestled more than that and were Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, only because we were both in WCW together, and then we both all went over to WWE and carried on feuds over there. I mean, Stone Cold, man, I mean, when you talk about wrestling him for the World Television title, for the U.S. title, then going over to WWE and wrestling him for the IC title, over and over in city after city. And so we wrestled, so many times, and I love working with those guys. I mean, three of the top guys that I enjoyed working with, DDP, Triple H, Stone Cold, And I was blessed to wrestle guys like Steve Regal and Eddie Guerrero and guys that were like a night off, like Ric Flair. There was just so many that just, I got in the ring with everybody. I mean, Undertaker, Sting, you name it. I've been in the ring with them, and it's just been an incredible career.
It's funny, like when you look back at just like at some of those guys, like where they are today, you're doing so much with, visiting schools and so much positive. DDP, my God, he's like an angel for ex wrestlers, Scotty, whether it be Scotty Riggs or Hall or Jake the Snake or now Lex Luger. It's such an interesting path, like for you guys, almost like you helping so many people. Did you ever foresee like that would be his path or your path, that you're helping so many people today?
I don't think neither of us ever saw it getting as big as it has for us. I mean, I'm averaging 230 events a year and helping
Wow.
so many kids and changing and even saving lives of young people that are suicidal. And it's just been an incredible journey, but never realizing that this would be something that would take off the way it did. And I think Dallas and I are so much alike. Like, we just don't quit, man. We don't give up when something inspires us or we want to do something to help others. And that's the gift I think both of us have, is we really enjoy helping other people. And so the more you do it, the more you give, the more you get back in your own life. And I couldn't be happier or more proud of my program champion of choices. And I know Dallas feels the same way about his DDPY yoga.
And it's awesome with Luger, like you said, who wrote the forward to the book. It's awesome to see his progress and what he's doing. And now he's in the WWE Hall of Fame and hopefully can like stand up and walk to the podium, which would be amazing.
Oh, wow. What a blessing that will be to see that. And I have a feeling he will. He's just that determined. He's, both of those guys are good friends and they're both great guys, man. I love those guys. And I just always want the best for them.
What about Marc Mero in the WWE Hall of Fame? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, John, I wouldn't hold my breath on it. Okay. The good news is that my manager Teddy Long got in, my manager Jackie got in, my good friends Dallas and so many others and Lex are getting in. You never know. I don't know, maybe the Warrior Award would be nice for something if they still had that. I'm not even sure if they even have that anymore, but if they did, something like that would be really honorable to receive. But I don't, luckily my life's not going to be defined on that. I hope my legacy is the difference I made in someone else's life.
When you become Wild Man, right? Vince McMahon obviously has you in. He creates Wild Man. Like, what is the thought process of the Wild Man, Marc? Like, where did the genesis of that character? Is that you coming up with that, or is that Vince coming up with that?
John, I'm still trying to figure that one out. Let me explain my situation. What happened was when I think Vince thought we can do something similar to the Johnny B. Bad character because he really, really enjoyed that character. And then they realized the lawsuits were going back and forth for the two companies. So when they realized that they want to stay completely away from that character, I got in. They flew me in to sign my contract, and I remember they came up with this character, Wild Man Marc Mero, and I wasn't even sure what a wild man was. I remember they were showing me, and to this day I still have the drawings they made before I got there, the costumes and what they thought Wild Man should look like. And I said to Vince, I go, what is a wild man like? And he goes, can you do a Tarzan yell? And I said, Tarzan? I don't got a very strong voice, not like, like Flair or Sting or something that can do woo, And I said, I don't think I can do a Tarzan, oh. So I said, I mean, where's he from? Is he from the jungle? Like, I didn't get it, And the hard part is, but I trust the creative decision at WWE. I'm thinking they have made some of the most amazing characters ever, Maybe they know something I don't know, so I'm going to be a team player. Remember, I'm getting the first guaranteed contract. They gave me a huge signing bonus. They let me bring my wife along, who became a big star. It was like all these things they gave me, and I didn't want to go in there with a bad attitude or argue and like, I don't like it, which I didn't even really understand it. And when you don't feel a character, the audience doesn't either. They didn't resonate with it because I never resonated with it. And the best thing they did was turn me heel and bring out the marvelous Marc Mero character. So, and that was fun because I'm feuding with my ex-wife, and we're doing great. I mean, the numbers on television were fantastic, the ratings because of the feud we had, and so that was a lot of fun.
Man, that was crazy because you were such a heat magnet. My God, they absolutely hated you. As marvelous Mark, of course. I mean, just man,
Yes.
such
But
great
that
work.
was the fun part about it, John. I mean, whether you're a baby face getting cheered or a heel getting booed, you're doing your job.
That's got to be a lot of fun too, because remember, like she's taking off her clothes, you're putting the potato sack on her, and all the different stuff. That had to be like a whirlwind of just fun because the attitude of the crowds are nuts anyway, but they really, really were fired up with you.
They did, and and obviously we're so involved in everything with Vince Russo at the time, and what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. So there was no surprises. It was just something we planned on doing. And John, my thought was, people say, well, how would you let a girl beat you up, or you ruined your career and so on? Remember, I'm making guaranteed money. And why not build her up where she's making huge money with merchandise and opportunities outside of the WWE and different guest spots on all these different shows that she was doing? Was an incredible time for us.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like maybe the people at home or some of those people don't realize what your guys' perspective is. Like, hey, we're making a ton of money here, and and it's a TV show. We're doing stuff that popping the crowd, but it's also helping the bank account too, helping the wallet.
Absolutely. You only have so many years in this business, and you don't want to. I didn't want to be in when I was going into my 40s and 50s. Your body just doesn't hold up. So here you make as much money as you can as quickly as possible. So then when you do retire, you have enough to live the rest of your life on.
So losing or getting powerbombed by her, no issues from you whatsoever. You were okay.
None for me, but it did create quite the stir in the locker room, and cut out a program that I was supposed to have with Steve Austin. That I certainly understand Steve's point of view today. Don't blame him at all, and I completely get it.
What was the angle supposed to be with Steve?
Well, it was I was the next feud for Steve at the time, and I was wrestling. We had a main event match at the Los Angeles Forum, and I remember getting to the arena, and I noticed that it was changed. Like I wasn't wrestling Steve. I was like, "What happened?" Never thinking that it was because Sable powerbombed me. And his thought was that if a girl can beat him up, why would I want to wrestle him? And I get it. So it changed the whole thing. But again, like I said, my main concern was getting her over and making her a bigger star than she already was.
No regrets though on that. I know you were saying you like where you said, but no regrets. Like I could have
No,
with
no.
Steve. He was so hot at that point. Yeah.
No, like I said, at that time you look back on your life and you realize at that time, I'm going to be with this girl the rest of my life. Let's make as much money as possible.
Right.
Enjoy this ride, But I mean, obviously things didn't turn out that way, but they turned out different for both of us and both in a very positive way.
When you look at like that time period, right? Brawl for All was going on at one point. I mean, the Attitude Era is super hot. But I always hear conflicting reports about Brawl for All. Like too many of the guys got injured, or the guys, even though they got extra money for it, that was like, hey, we got extra money for this, and don't put a shoot when it's a work. And what are your thoughts on Brawl for All at that point?
It was one of the most ridiculous things that they ever did because so many guys really not only got hurt but ended their career in a sense. Luckily, I never even really got hit. I was just taken down a lot by guys that couldn't know how to wrestle. They didn't want to box with me because they just want to take me down. And I could totally get that. But luckily I got to do it twice, and I think we got paid an extra $5,000 or $10,000 each time. It was quite a bit. And so for me, going out there for a few minutes and making that extra money on top of the guaranteed money I already made was easy money for me. But I just look at all the guys that got hurt. And I was one of the few guys that I never even got hit, really, other than just taken down, which doesn't hurt at all. And I was just disappointed to see how it all ended up, and because Bart Gunn would have been a huge star if his ending didn't go the way it went. I look at what's the name that got his knee busted?
Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Dr. Death. I mean, they had big plans for him to run with Steve, and all those things that happened that just guys got hurt that just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that was crazy too, because Dr. Death's a wrestler, but obviously he's got the boxing gloves. He doesn't have access to his hands, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then he tears his knee, and then he gets knocked down. It's just like, oh man, like what poor, horrible luck for Dr.
Yeah.
Death.
It basically ended his career, which is really sad.
You're right. So many of the guys did get hurt, and just crazy. And obviously Bart wins, but then he gets Butterbean, and I don't know if that's a gift or a curse either. You know, you get Butterbean in a shoot.
Well, I mean, think about this. When Butterbean knocked him out, it basically ended his run as looking at this guy that is invincible. He would have been great for Steve to work with, you know, in a wrestling match. But unfortunately, that just killed everything. Didn't matter how tough he was to get knocked out like that on national TV at WrestleMania. Oof, bad.
It's crazy. I was there live for that. That was brutal. Yeah, that was quite the shot. You actually did fight Butterbean at the X pay-per-view, obviously many months before that.
Yes.
A little different circumstances, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that too. He's a great guy. I really like Eric, and to this day we're still friends, and just had fun with him in that tough man contest. And a lot of people don't know this though, but there was, you know, the stool I would sit on in between rounds. There was another stool underneath the ring that was a gimmick stool that just broke apart when I hit him over the head. Well, unfortunately, the trainer that we had in my corner, he wasn't around professional wrestling a lot, and he handed me the wrong chair, and now I've got a regular stool trying to break it over Butterbean's head, and I'm hitting him. And you can see in the pay-per-view, I had to hit him a couple of times, and finally just the top came off. It wasn't like it splintered in a million pieces like it's supposed to, because It was a real chair. And I remember going out to dinner that night with Bean, and he said, "Man, that chair really hurt." I go, "They gave me the wrong chair." Wow. But your head is so hard, you still broke it.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh my God. So that's actually, when we rewatch it, that's actually not a gimmick.
No, that was not a gimmick. That was a wrong stool, but it did break, but it was just not broken the way you would think it would break when it just shatters all over the place, you know?
So it's so interesting. So when you fight him, obviously, you know, they do the tough man, but you guys are, you know, obviously collaborating together. It's a bit of a work, but when Bart, it's an absolute shoot. What was like the difference, or how come he's, you know, working with you here and then not working with Bart at the WrestleMania?
Well, the WrestleMania was a shoot, you know, that was like, do or die, you know. Mine, he's, you know, we got a whole plan going, so many rounds and how it ends. And it's you know, it's all, you know, staged in the sense of how it's going to end, how it's going to begin, the middle, everything. So you're basically two actors out there, you know, going through the scenarios of what you're going to do, and to make it look interesting and fun. And but WrestleMania with Bart and Bean was brutal.
Yeah, I was always thinking, I was like, wow, what if Mero had a shoot against Butterbean? I wonder what would happen if that was a shoot. You know what I mean? What would happen between you two?
Well, that would have been interesting, because you know, that would have been a lot of fun. I think either way. I was good enough to. I didn't have the speed or power I had when I was a boxer, because remember, I'm much older now. You know, I'm in my late 30s. And 5 shoulder surgeries, 5 elbow surgeries. So my timing wasn't good, but I still had that head movement where I couldn't really get hit a lot, you know, and I was always good at that in boxing. I didn't get hit very much. I was very elusive. So who knows? It would have been fun to test myself at that time, but maybe it's good I didn't. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know with Bean, like, man, like one punch,
that guy can hit
you.
Yeah,
like a brick. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So as far as WWF, you have a high point there? Is the Intercontinental title? Is there something else that sticks out, like as just a huge highlight when you were there?
You know, the Intercontinental title obviously was a big one, because I had to beat some amazing guys. I beat Ron Simmons. I had to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. I had to beat Owen Hart. And so that was a real great honor to be chosen to win that. WrestleMania was a lot of fun. The tag match with Sable and I against Goldust and Luna was incredible at the Boston Garden, the Fleet Center. And that was an incredible moment that we had together at WrestleMania. I just blew the roof off the building when I hot tagged Sable into the ring. It was just a really great moment.
And it's crazy to think like how over you were during the hottest period, right? I mean, Attitude Era, nothing quite reaches that level of just craziness of a crowd. I mean, that was the time in the business. The Monday Night Wars are going. I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to get hotter like that.
You know, when I think back of that period and I look in the dressing room of who's in our dressing room, you know, the who's who of wrestling, or people that look back on matches, look at these guys. You know, you got Shawn Michaels, you got Triple H, you got Stone Cold, you got The Undertaker, you got Kane. You know, it's just some of the most amazing guys that have ever laced their boots. There's Ric Flair. When I first got there was Ultimate Warrior. There was Hulk Hogan. There was just incredible. The people I've got to be in the same room with, you know, or wrestled with or against.
Do you have a favorite match? I'll throw one out there that you know, maybe people might not talk about as much, but Brian Pillman, Fall Brawl '95, absolutely love that match. Do you have like a favorite match or something that
You know what?
sticks out to you?
If I had to pick a match that would say is my favorite, it would probably be that one, because it was 30 minutes long and we really put a lot of stuff into it. And Brian was just a pleasure to work with in that. You know, we really wanted to do a great job. We wanted to bring the house down, and having Michael Buffer as the guest or announcer was a lot of fun too. I had some other real good ones. I remember wrestling Eddie Guerrero on Monday Nitro. We had it's only a 10-minute match, but it was for the world television title, and it went to a draw. And it was one of the few times you see wrestlers actually shake hands and hug at the end, which was really cool. Even though I lost to Stone Cold, the King of the Ring, that was a great match, you know, where he came up with Austin 316. Oh gosh, I had some really good ones. Wrestling Ric Flair in Germany for the European Cup was a lot of fun, because it was like bringing back my childhood, getting the ring with the legend, you know. So there was and then guys like Steve Regal and Triple H were just learned so much from those guys, wrestling them over and over again, hundreds of times, you know.
Thing is, to me too, and I remember I was talking to Kevin Sullivan about it with you and Pillman. I was like, why is that match so long? Because we were breaking down all the shows, and he was basically saying it's like sink or swim moment for them both. Like, let's see if you could do it. And my God, you guys swam like crazy. It's just like amazing.
Yeah, and we kind of knew that. And there was a lot of people that were, I hate to say this, but not wanting us to swim. But we wanted to prove them wrong, and we did. And it goes down in history as one of my favorite matches ever.
I love it too, because later on that night, Pillman kind of like turns heel. So it's like, wow, it's like he's got like so much going on with him. He went toe to toe with Be Bad for 30 minutes, and then later on the night, he's beating up Flair. He's turning on everybody. It's like, wow, I didn't see that coming. Right? After that amazing match, didn't see it coming. So what a moment! That was I love that match. Actually, it's probably a match of the night too.
Thank you. Yes.
And even though Flair and Arn on the same show, I mean, that probably and War Games too. But that match was the best. That was awesome.
He's another guy. Arn Anderson's another guy I loved working with, man. I had some real good ones with Arn too. He was so just classic, man. He could do anything, Arn. He's just amazing performer, amazing on the mic, and behind the scenes, a great guy.
So as we head towards the finish here, head towards the wind down, got to mention again, Bad to Good, the autobiography, the inspiring story of a wrestling wild man, a tale of resilience, redemption, and resurrection. Pick it up on Amazon. But give us one last big push why everybody should go to Amazon and go out there and get the book.
Well, I got to tell you, this book, I really put my heart into it, and I think people are going to really enjoy it. And I hope you pick it up. I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised at how it may inspire you, and share some really good stories of my career, my autobiography, Bad to Good.
Where can everybody get it besides Amazon, or is it just Amazon for now?
Just Amazon for now. There may be some other links, but go to Amazon, be the quickest way to get it. And I got to tell you, John, the funny thing is when the book came out, I didn't even have a copy of it. I had to buy my first copy from Amazon because they had it sooner than the publishing company could ship it to me. So Amazon had it to me the next day or something, and my company, the publishing company, couldn't ship it to me until weeks later. So I finally, I have my copy now, and I'm enjoying it.
I got to say, Amazon is amazing. Sometimes I'll order something and I'll check my, my door. I'm like, how the hell is it here already? This like, what is going on? Amazon
it is crazy. Sometimes they have the stuff you want on their truck, and you get off the phone with them, and like you said, they're at your door delivering it. It's crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. Where else can everybody find you? Social media, otherwise, and please tell us what else you got coming up down the pike.
Well, my YouTube channel does real well. It's YouTube and the Marc Mero, and of course, just type in my name, Marc Mero, on any of the other social media platforms, and you could find me very easily. MarcMero, and I always enjoy hearing from people. Man, it's one of my favorite things to get messages from people. And I'm at schools all over. Our website is ThinkPoz, which is POZ, as in someone I know, yes. ThinkPoz.org. And that's, to book me at your son or daughter's school. That's my favorite thing to do. And what's really cool, John, is when I go to Texas now, they bus in like 21 schools into their arena where I'm doing 8,000 or 10,000 students at a time. It is just incredible. It's like being back in the wrestling ring,
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's like like a sold out WWE pay-per-view or something there.
Right,
that's crazy.
Right. And those kids are alive, man. It's so much fun to do these.
And do you have any appearances and stuff coming up that you want to get out there? Because I know I saw 90s.
I am going to England. Let's see, April 7th through the 9th, through the 10th, I think it is. And those will be announced very soon. I'm in Manchester, Glasgow, and I forgot the other, but they're going to be, I'm going there to book signings and meet and greets, and just I really enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to those events.
Awesome. I saw 90s Wrestling Con here in New Jersey. You'll be there in May. So that's
awesome. Right. I will be there. Yes. I'm looking forward to that. Those are always fun, man. It's so fun to meet fans that enjoyed watching you years ago. And you know what else is fun is seeing the wrestlers that I work with or guys that were in the business. There's a certain camaraderie you have with them. You may not even like them or got along with them back then, but it seems like we all get along so well now. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's great to see that. There was like competition back then, politicking, like ruthlessness, and now there's no pressure. It's very easy.
Yeah, man, it's like water under the bridge. Anyone that holds resentment or bitterness, man, the only one suffering is them.
So true. Well, everybody should head out to Amazon, get Bad to Good, the inspiring story of the wrestling wild man. Marc, thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it.
John, it's always a pleasure, man. Take care, my friend.